morning. It's good to be with you this first day in the month of February. I am Alero Edu, and this is Sunrise.
Happy... Yeah, I know. As you can see that look, right? So why are you looking at me that way?
How do you know I was looking at you?
Of course. There's a reason we have monitors in the studio. Oh, by the way, the reason she was giving me that look was, we say Happy New Year. As if that is not enough, we now hear Happy New Month.
What's that?
Soon we'll start having Happy New Week.
Then Happy
New Day. Happy New Hour.
Happy New Month. What's that?
Anyway, someone started Happy New Year, you know, so...
So someone also started Happy New Month. Okay. I must say, I haven't heard that anywhere else.
Except...
It's like, how was your night?
Oh, God. So what's the answer you give?
Bad eye.
No, someone said my answer to how was your night is none of your business.
Correct. Yes, I must adopt that one. None of your business. That's a very good answer. Which, in fact, it isn't. What I spent my night doing is not actually your business.
It's just checking. I hope you had a good night.
Well, ask me that. Don't ask me how was your night. Yes. I had a good laugh when I read this one.
Which one?
The federal government... Sorry. That's not it. Yes. The federal government made 2.4 billion from marriages in 2024. That's according to the Ministry of the Interior.
No, that should be weddings, right? Because if you say marriages, it means they also made money from divorce.
Marriages. This boy, you not go to school.
Marriage is a value chain. Marriage is a value chain.
And boy, no, 2.4 billion.
So all those people that go to Ikoyi registry.
Benny. That's a great source of income.
So we should encourage more people to get married.
Well, they're getting married and they're getting divorced as well.
Wait. Those wedding, this thing, aren't they supposed to be functions of local governments? But the federal government is making money from it. Okay, all right. I'm done.
To use your language, I went there. So that really tickled me. Anyway, so people are getting married and they're getting divorced as well. But let us maybe emulate Trump, who is all for marriage, the family.
Yeah.
The family.
Good. But while you are thinking about that one, don't forget that at some point China said you have more than 4 children, you're going to have a problem.
Do you have more than 2 children?
Then.
Yes. Now they're begging them to have children, like they did in Germany over one period. Yeah. I know that when I was in Germany, they were bribing people to have children. And people just refused to have children.
Why?
They didn't want
economy.
A girlfriend of mine who's half German, half Nigerian, half German, actually had a hysterectomy at the age of 31.
Why is
she
that?
did not want children.
Just didn't want children?
No. I don't want children, full stop. What's wrong with that?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, think ahead, because we have about 200 million people.
250 million, they say.
So we say we are now.
In the meantime, where is Betta Edu?
She was minister.
No relation of mine.
She was Minister of Humanitarian Affairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and she got into trouble, and we haven't heard that she's been taken to court, or she has taken the government to court for wrongful dismissal or whatever, or removal or whatever. And all is quiet on the Western Front.
Did she get into trouble, or she allegedly got into trouble?
Well, she allegedly got into trouble, as a result of which she wasn't allegedly fired, as a result of which she was fired.
You know, all we see is what we see. The rest of it, we don't know. We just know that something just happens and then it makes the headlines.
So where is she now? What is she doing now?
When the new Minister of Humanitarian Affairs came into office, one person, one prominent politically exposed Nigerian, I don't know who it was, I don't remember who it was, and I said, okay, that your office is beware of the banana peel.
It's jinxed. It's jinxed.
Beware of the banana peel. What's what the person said.
Oh, boy.
Well, I guess we ministers come, ministers go. It's all politics, they always say. And as they always say, just as they have said about the Lagos State House of Assembly matter, it's a family affair.
Oh, is it?
So, yes, that's what we heard. So,
okay, all right. Well, the former speaker is not taking it lying down at all. He means business.
Well,
and he said he was removed illegally, so he's up and doing, as they say.
Again, it's a family business.
Same with what is going on in the PDP, right? That one too is a family affair.
Exactly. That, in fact, PDP is a king of family affairs. Oh, yes.
They were punching each other or something?
Oh, no, sometimes they haven't had exercises in a while, so they just want to, you know, work.
They want to do exercise.
Exercise. You know.
Okay.
Or exercise, whichever one.
Whichever one, okay. All right. In the meantime, we're going to start today by looking at...
before we start.
Oh, okay.
I went to Oyo State over the past few days. My over was whelmed, and my flabber was gasted. I actually went to IITA. That IITA, Alero, is an open secret.
That?
IITA.
Yes.
It's called International Institute for Tropical Agriculture. Yes. It's a research, whatever. That place is like a city.
Well,
it's large.
It's always been.
I had no idea.
It's always been.
And there's hardly anything that they don't make on that place. Then I had the privilege of going to this Fashola agribusiness, whatever, in Oyo State. Well, even though the Oyo State government says it's oversubscribed, the kind of things that they're making in that place. I didn't know that we now make raw materials for milk that we sell, that some prominent milk manufacturing companies in Nigeria make from local sources.
So why is milk so expensive?
We haven't scaled. In fact, when I asked the man, how frequently, how much do you produce? Said, well, he's doing something in the region of 12,000 tons or something like that of milk for one of the biggest brands in Nigeria. I said, really? I said, so what's the percentage of that to
our requirement?
To what they produce?
Okay.
Guess what he told me? 12,000 tons. Guess what he told me? It's negligible.
Oh. So we haven't even started.
We haven't even started. And
what is more painful in all of this is that we have all these things. Look at the number of herds of cattle that we have. Gosh. So how can we say that we can't even make milk? And milk is so expensive, so children cannot even drink milk.
Well, it's not the only one. I know that the Kaduna State government is also in partnership with a private sector operator in Kaduna, and that's been since the El-Rufai days, when it was beginning of talks, whether I think they have fully started now, and they are scaling. The question, the only thing that I will appeal, you know that every time I'm talking about state governments, because they really have a lot to do about this thing. When the president is talking about...
Well, they don't seem to know it.
Well, they do know it.
They do?
Well, yes. When I was speaking with this private sector fellow who had no reason to palliate the government, I was saying that the government of the state is very, very passionate about scaling up infrastructure, and that the roads that led to that farm, the farm community or whatever I want to call it, were very, very bad. But, Alero, I drove that place yesterday. They had to put, what's that thing? Speed breakers. Because the road is smooth.
Now?
Ah, Jesus. The road is smooth. It's very, very tempting. Ah, gosh.
Well, thank God there's speed breakers.
So the thing for me, Alero, is let us recognize as a people that, look, we have everything it takes to make Nigeria whatever we want it to be, by starting with the state wherein you are and starting exactly in the location where you are, because you can contribute something. This particular fellow transited from oil and gas into agriculture.
Oh, and like I said last week, a cousin of mine who is a farmer said there's no way you can be a farmer in Nigeria and not make money. Because Nigeria has to feed 250 million mouths.
Guess what also surprised me? They said at some point, the governor had to do something radical. What was it? So he went to a market. The governor, coming from one town, went to a market and stopped there and saw trailer loads of food, of gari being shipped out of Oyo State. So wait a minute. This one, where is it going? Oh, we are going to this place. Oh, that one, where is it going? We are going to say, So me, I will spend money. And gari is expensive in Oyo State. So,
and me, I don't go get gari to
me,
chop.
I will spend money to produce. And you people will just be coming and be carrying everything away. Like that. Said it's going to tax more. At least I will get something from that one. So the opportunities are tremendous. The opportunities are tremendous in this country. There's hardly anything you want to produce that you can't. Oh, by the way, did you know that there's such a thing as coriander honey?
No.
Okay, don't worry. I'll tell you more about that one.
Now, what this has just brought to my mind is that, they said that all those big companies in Europe and America took all their production to China because labor is cheap in China. Why are they not coming to set up factories in my country? Labor is cheap in my country as well.
Cheaper. Your infrastructure, soft infrastructure in particular, and hard infrastructure.
Okay.
You literally have to be on local government in
but we should set our hearts and minds to making this place conducive so that they can come and so that we can get all this youth off the streets.
I think that's one of the reasons for the agro-industrial processing zones that the federal government has partnered with the AFDB to do. Hopefully, in no time, that will be. They're already working on this. Okay, so you wanted to say something.
Yes. Housing as a social infrastructure.
Okay. Well, we'll understand that one because I thought
housing is a right.
I thought it was a business also.
Okay.
And then this Sharia debate in Southwest. Is it a thing or is much ado about what? Find out later.
Then Airtel's commitment to excellent service.
The second social topic we are having today is mathematical tool for solving social problems. So you want to use Pythagoras theorem to solve what? We'll find out later on the program this morning.
And then, as is usual, we'll close with the Artist of the Week segment.
You're not going to tell us whether it's a he or a she or a shim today. Okay, you don't know.
You know, this thing, we're talking about telecom tariffs last week. And I told you that they had already started, they had already increased. I took pictures of several calls I made. 63 seconds, and I was charged 15 naira 98 kobo.
Okay.
80 seconds, I was charged 22 naira 70 kobo.
You took, okay.
Oh yeah, I took pictures.
Don't worry, we're gonna tweet them later.
Yes.
So grab your cup of cocoa.
Or cocoa.
Whichever color you prefer. And we'll be right back with the first topic. Do stay with us.
Free part of me, take all I'll ever be. I surrender totally.
Okay. Despite multiple schemes implemented by various governments around the country, affordable housing remains elusive to the average Nigerian. Over 52% of Nigeria's population has been claimed to live in shanties, squatter communities, and informal settlements. I'm talking about shanties and slums. We have them in abundance. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Kangiwa, said that the country will require, wait for it, 5 million houses in the next 10 years to bridge the housing deficit. You describe Nigeria's housing deficit as both a challenge and an opportunity for transformative change.
You know, the first thing that came to my mind when you say 5 million, when you said 5 million houses, my mind just went to, so how much does it cost to build one?
Well,
on the average, maybe, let's say 50 million, depending on location.
No, we'll have to find cheaper ways of building houses if we want to build that many.
Where?
Well, we are seeing all kinds of developments in other parts of the world where they just prefabricate something, just lift it from somewhere and deposit it. House done ready.
True. You can do that for villages in Lagos. You don't go buy land.
we have an architect to tell us more and give us developments in this area that we're talking about. How can we build cheaper houses so that our people stop living in slums and shanties? That's the only way that we can, increase this housing deficit that we're talking about. It's my pleasure to welcome Ezekiel Nya-Etuk, Executive Director, Estate Services, Federal Housing Authority. And he joins us from our studio in Abuja. Ezekiel, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning and happy new month to Nigeria.
Did you say that just to upset me, Ezekiel? Well, I'm saying to you, Happy New Year. Okay, Ezekiel. This matter of housing, it has become a rather vexed issue because we have too many Nigerians living in places that many feel are not fit for human beings to live in. So let us start by talking about what government is doing to reduce this deficit that we have in housing, and to which the minister responded that we need 5 million houses in the next 10 years. How?
Okay. First, it's good to see you again. I have been on leave of absence, so to speak, because for over 30 years I have been talking, and in a very curious way, Mr. President said, Mr. Talker, oh yeah, come and sit down, let's see what you can do. Because it's so easy to do analysis on television and talk, government has not, but when you come inside, that's why Nigerians don't want to hear me talk anymore. They want to see, because anybody can talk. I can't be an advocate on the seat I sit right now. I have to be able to come to tell Nigerians that, oh boy, that thing where they talk before, it'd be like saying, no, they're possible. Or I will tell them really based on very, very well-defined parameters that there is hope and we can have housing revolution. It's taken me a lot of thinking, praying, and energy to be on this program today because I need to be very careful with every word I say and every statement I make. Secondly, I will not have the liberty of doing general analysis, talking about everything. I have a very definite portfolio and institution, so I'll be talking more authoritatively about the Federal Housing Authority. And if you look at it by the mandate of that body, we are responsible for housing delivery of the federal government of Nigeria. So I think that Nigerians can very, very easily, in every local government, say, those people are supposed to be the people that to build for us. What are they doing? So I'm going to be on that bit. The first part is the current administration. Are they doing anything different? Is there any substance to the talk we always hear, because every administration has ministry that has housing, either as a standalone or subset. They have all programs and everything. At the end of the year, what do you see? Nothing, next to nothing. So, Ezekiel, can you tell us, as somebody that Nigerians trust, that there is substance in this current administration? And I need to be careful, because after this administration, I will still be around and people will quote what I said. The first thing is that I will say with every sense of responsibility that this is the first administration that I know of that has a certain level of political will as concerning housing that you cannot in any way contest, even if you are not a friend of the government. I'll give you 1, 2, 3 very clear examples. Number one is giving us a standalone ministry for housing. That's absolutely important. We've always been a poor wife of a polygamous family where you have Ministry of Works and Housing, Power, Works and Housing. And between Power and Works, you know that housing is like an irritant, so they don't care. But when you have Ministry of Housing, you have nobody to blame. That's the first thing. The second thing is giving us a leadership that is informed. The current Minister of Housing was the managing director of Federal Mortgage Bank. So he is a player, a major player in the industry. So he comes with knowledge of the challenges of the industry. The third is the two arms of the two agencies that are responsible for the supply and the demand arms of housing in Nigeria, talking about Federal Mortgage Bank and Federal Housing Authority. They are today led by extremely informed, passionate, articulate, and committed people, and I will tell you how. And the relationship between the minister, the Federal Mortgage Bank, the Federal Housing Authority is in a way that I've hardly seen in the past. The synergy, the understanding, the friendship, the passion to bring about this sort of housing delivery that we want is something that we are very, very proud of. In the Federal Housing Authority, let me take it home. There are certain things that Nigerians will hear and they're like, okay, that makes sense. And the essence of this program, my being here, is to be able to say 1, 2, 3 things that Nigerians can hold to and say, this makes sense or it doesn't make sense. The first is, let's get to Federal Housing Authority. On my sister Alero, I will shock you by saying that next month makes us 1 year since we were brought on board by Mr. President. And that all of us, starting from our MD, we are all still driving the old hillocks that we met in the administration, all of us, including myself, including the MD. Number two is that, which shows, and we're all people who have been blessed by God, accomplished before we came there, so nobody's looking for houses, lands. It's like, what can we do? The second thing is what the sort of leadership that we have. We have a managing director that is, and I want to say this, meaning no harm, that is a workaholic. The man is, people just see him as the president's relation or something, but I think that's the worst thing you can do to that guy. He is one of the most committed and passionate people about housing that I've seen in my entire life. And he's driven us such that even some of us that were like, oh, champions, we are starting to feel a little worried, because we've gone as at today to about 28 states, and 85% of them by road. We drive the management team, we go and sit down with the governor one-on-one. And at the end of 2-3 hours interaction, the governor gets to hear us, to understand us, to form a synergy and a partnership led by our MD, who goes by road. Once in a while, I've had to fly, but he goes by road. You understand me? And at the end of the day, I want you to know, I want Nigerians to know that we have land in about 30 or 32 states. We have land, not just land. We go to visit the land and we do technical analysis with respect to access, infrastructure, livability.
Perhaps the challenge.
Yes.
My apologies. Perhaps the challenge here.
Yes,
and I'm glad that, for the work that you've done in the past 1 year, as you have said, 28 states, as will stay on the streets, it's not be beans. So, and having to travel by road means that you have seen all of the challenges and all of the potentials. What are the challenges that you see in the way? If we will require, at the very least, 5 million houses over the next 10 years, what are the inhibitions on the way? Why are people living in shanties in various parts of the country? What are the inhibitions you've seen? What are the challenges? And what are the opportunities that you see?
Okay, awesome. You know, when we came in, we decided to approach this matter from first principles. Like I said, we are led by a man who is a lawmaker on one hand and a practitioner in the industry, talking about Honorable Oyetunde Ojo. So the first thing we did was to lock ourselves inside the house, led by him, to look at exactly what you have said. What are the challenges? I'll tell you number one challenge: cost, delivery cost. How do you solve? Let me tell Nigerians, if you look at my fingers, number one is that you must get land if you are to build a house, and the cost of land, infrastructure, and everything. You must go ahead to get the necessary materials. That's another aspect. You must look at the funding. You must look at the skills. These are the different dynamics you must look at. But the first one is land. So we now said, you can't talk of providing houses except you get land. Number two, you can't talk of providing affordable houses except these lands are affordable. So that's what informed the MD, leading us to go and have an interface with the governor. And each governor, he says, look, if we are going to build houses in your state, it's for your people. And look at the cost factors of these houses. So what do you think? Can you give us land free and pay compensation? Can you give us infrastructure? Can you in any way take up a percentage of the sales and everything, on which basis you can choose to subsidize for your people? And I want to say that every governor, I don't know how my MD did it, I don't know, but every governor has given us land free. We're not paying for any land, so we're going to discount cost of land. Many of them, virtually all of them, are paying compensation. I can talk boldly because I'm from Akwa Ibom State, and I'm so happy that my governor was one of those given Governor of the Year, because he's giving us extremely well-located land, choice land, just about 7 minutes to the airport on the dual carriage expressway, directly on the road. And then he is paying full compensation on it. And if my memory sounds me right, he's doing something about infrastructure on it. So what has been the challenge? The challenge has been cost. How are we addressing it from first principles? We are getting land free. We are getting compensation paid on the land. And on many occasions, virtually all, we are getting infrastructure. So that is one arm of the delivery concerning cost. Nigerians need houses, but there is affordability gap concern. And that's what we've done so far. Like I said, I don't know how my MD did it, but how he got every governor to give us land for free. He got all of them to pay compensation, and he's getting virtually all of them to give us infrastructure. I think that's a major challenge that we saw, and a major solution I can tell Nigerians as at today. Okay. Not what will be, but what is.
Okay. Ezekiel, strictly speaking, of these 5 million houses that the minister says that we need in the next 10 years, how much of it can government provide on its own? And are you having any interface with developers and financiers who are going to help in this endeavor?
Great question. The first thing is, like I said, I want to be issue and location specific, talking about Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria, where I'm privileged by Mr. President's legendary magnanimity to be a part of. The first thing is that FHA is not funded by government. We generate our funds 100%. We don't have any, we are not on budget, okay? Now, when we went to do our budget presentation, the National Assembly, for the first time, I've been on several presentations on housing, even when I'm not involved in it. I just go out of interest. I've been a consultant to the Senate on housing, so I'm very, very versed and informed about their proceedings. For the first time, they said, we are on camera and we want to record it. Honorable Oyetunde Ojo, I don't know how you've done it, but I want to say that you need support of government. Because if you have not been on budget, you've just come on and within a year, you are not only making this level of progress, but you are paying. You know, government takes a percentage of what we have as profit, so to speak. And we have so far, I think this is public knowledge or information. There's nothing exclusive. As at today, I think we've paid nothing less than 4 billion to government, though not being on budget. So they said, if we are not giving you strategic support and you can do this, imagine what you can do if government gives you a certain strategic support. Well, we don't want money to pay salaries. We don't want money for overheads. We don't want, no, we have our money. We are doing well. We are not owing salaries. Our MD is a genius. I don't know how he does it, but we are doing well. We've paid us, we've upped our salaries. You know, we are one of the best paying institutions, and we generate our funds and we are paying. So we don't want money for, management and no. They are saying, if we give you a certain capacity, you will be able to do so much more. So coming back, we are networking with government on that arm. We are networking with individuals. I head the estates directorate, and we are having networking with people on bringing about sustainability policy in our estate. FHA, by the way, has some of the most beautiful estates in Nigeria, but some of our estates have gotten to a state that we are really not happy with it. Festac is one of our estates, and we're not happy with what is happening in Festac.
Well, I guess
Gwarimpa is one of our estates. Sharada in Kano is one of our estates.
I guess that already underscores some of the work that you have to do, Mr. Nyetuk. But what's the nexus? For instance, you said the major challenge of the housing deficit that we have is funding. But then we also know that there is such a thing as the National Housing Fund, which is managed by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. You can please correct me if I'm wrong. So what's the nexus between the FHA, who is charged with the responsibility of providing houses or housing for people, and the FMB, Federal Mortgage Bank, which is also statutorily taxed with the responsibility of providing funding or facilitating funding for those houses for people?
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. You know, not long ago, we were in a session, FHA, Federal Mortgage Bank. The working relationship between you and I is work of amazing friends. While the minister stays on one hand, the MD of Federal Mortgage Bank and the MD of Federal Housing Authority and the management team, one of our EDs, Amalam Dan Kane, was an ED in Federal Mortgage Bank. So you can imagine the interface, the nexus, the MD himself, all of us. But to the issue, because friendship does not translate to solutions, we have sat down and we say we are a providing entity. Though we have a mortgage bank, because we have FHA Mortgage Bank, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, how can you kind of take off or off-take or come and provide, Federal Mortgage Bank works through primary mortgage banks, but the primary mortgage banks feed from the Federal Mortgage Bank. How can you increase your capacity so that houses are no longer cash and carry like it is in Nigeria today. In Nigeria today, if you want to buy a house, it's like you want to buy a car. You go to ask for a mortgage, they are telling you 2 years, 3 years. You hardly find any organization that gives you 5 years. And mortgage is supposed to be 20 years, 30 years. That's what, in some cases, you can even extend to 40 years. That's what mortgage is. That's why the child, not the child, the guy in the university can come out and be sure that he can have funding to get a one-bedroom apartment and pay over a period. And people can give him that money because they know that he has 40 working years or even 30 or even 20. So within this period, so that culture of mortgage is lacking, is not almost non-existent in Nigeria.
Interest rate,
that is why Federal Housing Authority. Let me just say this. Federal Housing Authority.
To speak to a quick question on the issue you just raised, at what interest rate is the return going to be made?
I'll tell you this. You can't talk of interest rate on what does not exist. Federal Mortgage Bank, we in Federal Housing Authority, we are a major advocate that Federal Mortgage Bank should be recapitalized. Given the money, it is when you have the money that you now say at what interest rate. They do have the money for what are the trickles that were coming, but for the volume that Federal Housing Authority is bringing right now, they need a lot more capacity to give a lot more mortgages to a lot more people. And that of Federal Mortgage Bank, to the best of my knowledge, is single digit. I can tell you that authoritatively, which is what makes it real, mortgage.
Ezekiel,
yes,
but that is hardly possible because the Federal Mortgage Bank is not going to operate in a silo. It's going to operate in Nigeria, in the economy of Nigeria. And there's no way they can give in the loans for single digit interests. There's no way.
No, they are. I'm not saying what we hope. That's what they've been doing over time, throughout. Federal Mortgage Bank has never given.
What effect?
They always give on single digit.
What effect has this had? How many mortgages have they given in the last 10 years?
That is because, good question, great question. You can't give what you don't have. That's why we are not Federal Mortgage Bank. We are Federal Housing Authority, and yet we are saying, and we are calling on Nigerians to prevail on their constituencies, their representatives, to say, recapitalize or enhance Federal Mortgage Bank so that they will have the money to give us a lot more mortgages. They are doing very well, I would say that. But they need their capacity, and even the National Assembly right now is putting their voice to it to say, give Federal Mortgage Bank the money they need, so the federal government will have to see the need to give Federal Mortgage Bank the money so that when we build houses, we have ready-made off-takers waiting. I'll just give you a very little example. In Kano, we are starting, I'm sure you have heard that we have advertised, let me put it that way, a layman's language, for people to bid to build their houses, because we are starting from 17 states where we are going to do 200 houses. But let me bring out something you should see here. 200 houses will take less than 10 hectares. In Kano, we have 150 hectares. Why do we want to start with 200? Because my MD says, I cannot bring contractors to site and not have the money to pay them. He will not. He says, on my integrity, I will not bring contractors to site. So we are now working based on the budget we've been able to bring out so far. Even taking that 17 states at about 200 houses, we need over 60 billion to pay the workers, the contractors. We're not talking of infrastructure. We're not talking anything. Okay,
right,
how do we generate
We're running out of time, and I know that you would want to
to
explain to people as much as possible. But a quick follow-up to that question you just raised. Here is someone sending us, Ajiboye, sending a message, says, my concern is, why do we have a lot of abandoned projects in Abuja, and I'm sure in various other parts of the country? But speaking to Abuja specifically, especially along Airport Road, more painful is the fact that many civil servants struggle to pay rent and do not have access or hope of getting a house assisted by the federal government, especially rent-to-own programs. So on the one hand, so it's like a kind of two-in-one question, and you have 30 seconds to answer this one.
Because there are many more questions waiting for you.
Yeah, so on the one hand, there are abandoned projects, federal government projects all over the country, and they're uninhabited. On the other hand, rent-to-own programs that even government staff can't access.
Two things. The very first is that, like I said, let me be careful because I would like to be quoted. I like to talk about Federal Housing Authority. There is not one, apart from Akampa, Odupani in Cross River, which we have gone back to look at it, and maybe Goningora, which we've also gone to look at it and address the issues that were there. There isn't one abandoned Federal Housing Authority estate in Nigeria, and we have over 50 estates. There's not one that is not fully built and being occupied. There's not one abandoned, because we are careful to look at the...
That's the first one, and that is noted. How about the second issue? Very quickly.
The second issue is like the rent to own and all those things. It has to do with the supply end. We can only supply what we can have the capacity to supply, except we are given that impetus from above, which we are believing that this government, with the political will that they have demonstrated, they are going to say, Federal Housing Authority, we've seen your passion, we've seen your commitment, we've seen your forthrightness. We can afford to take a risk on you. We are going to give you capacity so that you don't just do 200 houses. Like I tried to explain, 200 houses is about 10 hectares or less.
Ezekiel,
we have in Akwa Ibom, we have 50 hectares.
We've got to take comments from our viewers so that you can respond to all of them. This one is from Osas, and he says, with the huge housing deficit and rising rents that are crushing mid and low-level government staff and Nigerian workers at large, I have still not heard your guest tell us about availability, how to access it, and the framework for subscription.
Fantastic. Number one is availability. We have said we are starting with 200 because of the funds we have. The moment we have more money, we're not going to start jobs that we're not going to pay the contractors 1,000 when you don't have the money. No. Our MD says he has integrity and he will leave some here for somewhere else tomorrow. So the moment we have, I am looking forward. I'm really believing that
is there a
the government will come already? And say, Federal Housing Authority, do it this way. That's number one.
Good.
So supply is a function of
can
funds.
Register and say, okay, go to this website or go to this platform to subscribe, so to speak?
Luckily, in FHA, we are fully digitalized. The only thing is that we are careful to open our platforms per time, not before time. It's easy to ask people, go there, and people are paying money when you have not supplied the houses. No, there's room for integrity. But we have fha.gov.ng. fha.gov.ng.
Okay.
There you'll be able to see the Renewed Hope program of FHA. You know, Renewed Hope is the mantra of the current administration. So the Minister of Housing is doing Renewed Hope. You know, Murphy is doing Renewed Hope. I think somebody has just logged in there. Fantastic. That's it. So it's a live website. So you can go in there. Now, when we have hit the ground running.
Ezekiel, I've got to interrupt because we've almost run completely out of time, and I want to get this message from a viewer in. Other than government, which is a faceless bunch of bureaucrats building houses, how is FHA helping to demonstrate that houses can be cheaper to build than what they currently cost?
Beautiful. Number one, FHA is knocking off all the cost of land. We're not hoping to. We have already done that. Number two, we are knocking off all the cost of other facilities associated, like paying compensation, because of our partnership with the government. And we need to thank all the governors because all of them have subscribed to it. So the cost of land and infrastructure is getting off, which is one of the major components. What we are dealing with now is cost of construction, which is what we are still dealing with. And we don't want to build cheap houses, not cheap houses, houses that are not standard, okay? So we are working on cost. We have an informed, person that is in charge, Engineer Omona, Remy. He was a minister, a commissioner for works in, I think it was Osun State. So he comes with that knowledge and understanding of the construction subsector. He is the executive director of project implementation and is working on cost directly with our procurement subsector. So at the end of the day, because of taking care of this, our houses are going to be lower and more affordable.
Ezekiel Etiuk, you need to come back from time to time and give us the current picture. Because all these things you are saying, Nigerians are looking at you and saying all that is on pages of newspaper. We need to see the houses. And all the things you say you're doing, you have to come back
please, I'd like to...
and be telling us as you go along. Quickly, quick.
What? FHA is not papers. The lands that we have in 28 states is not paper, is land that we have title.
Okay.
The procurement that we've done in 17 states is not paper. And in the next couple of weeks or months, once we finish procurement, we are starting to build in 17 states.
Okay. Okay. You still need to bring us up to speed as you go along so that we'll see all the milestones. Mr. Ezekiel Etiuk, who is an architect, is the Executive Director, Estate Services, Federal Housing Authority. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us about housing in Nigeria and how we can bridge the gap in the availability of housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for staying with us. Sunrise will return in just a moment with another interesting conversation.
Thank you for staying with us. December 2024, the planned inauguration of a Sharia court in Oyo State started to spark widespread reactions on social media. The controversy is as a result of the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, Oyo State chapter, announcing its intention to establish a Sharia court in Oyo town and its environs. And by January, just last month, that's the plan. Of course, the council announced an indefinite suspension of the inauguration. And since then, there's been intense debate on the project, on the subject. So there are proponents that argue that the adoption of Islamic legal codes aligns with religious freedoms enshrined in the Nigerian constitution. And there is the other set of people who are saying it's a politically motivated agenda designed to create division and consolidate power within certain political factions. Of course, this push raises critical questions. Why now? Why in a region celebrated for its cultural diversity, religious diversity, and tolerance? Conversations this morning we have with our guests in our studios. Iskil Lawal is the chairman, Independent Sharia Panel of Lagos. He's also legal secretary, Muslim Community of Lagos State. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for...
We also have Mr. Deumi Adebayo, who is chairman, Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, Lagos chapter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
And also joining us from our Abuja studio is Ms. Bao Adetunji, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Ms. Bao Adetunji, sir.
All right. Okay. So let me begin with you, Mr. Iskil Lawal. There are those who are saying this is much ado about nothing. And there are those who are saying this is a big deal. And what's your position?
Well, it's not a big deal because it's a right that has been enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution since 1999. Section 177 of the Nigerian Constitution allows a state that has interest to establish Sharia court of appeal. However, the kind of Sharia that was proposed by the Oyo State then was a panel, not a court, and which similar has been in existence in Lagos since December 11, 2002, which I have been sharing since then. And for every time, every hour, every day, we do have cases from Muslims adherents.
Now you need to explain to us, because you said one is a court, not a panel. Now you need to explain the difference to us.
The difference is that the panel is a voluntary coming together of Muslims to bring their matter before those who are learned in Sharia to adjudicate in their personal affairs, personal matters, family matters, marriage, divorce, inheritance, custody of children, and
so those involved just take their matter to voluntarily to people that they believe are versed.
Not believe, they are certified, because we are certified.
Certified?
Yes, I read combined law, Islamic law, and common law.
Okay.
We have a lot of us in Nigeria, even among those who are not Muslims.
Okay.
I graduated with those who are not Muslims who read Sharia, even from the southeast. In Lagos here, we have Sharia departments in LASU. So all across Nigerian university, most of them have Sharia departments, which you are going to be trained Islamically. You have both the English, I practice English law as a lawyer, and I also practice Sharia as a sitting judge in the Sharia panel since 2002 up till date. Okay. I have sat over thousands of cases. If I'm to list it, I have gone over thousands of cases in Lagos here.
Okay. Well, Mr. Adebayo, one of the arguments that some people are making is that the Constitution does not recognize a state religion. So, but the Constitution permits individuals to have their religion. So they then wonder if the Constitution is not speaking against itself, that on the one hand you do not recognize a state religion, but on the other hand you recognize certain religions for certain individuals.
Well, that may not be totally correct, that the Nigerian state does not recognize religion or a state religion. At least Nigeria is a multi-religious country.
Okay.
The state recognizes the religion of people of Nigeria, and that's why till today you have pilgrims board. You have even governments.
The question I'm asking is, yes, do we have a religion that's okay, Nigeria is a Muslim state, or Nigeria is a Christian?
Nigeria is a multi-religious country. That is what the Constitution says. Section 38 provides for the Nigerian citizens to express their religious thoughts, conscience. So, if you are talking about what the Constitution says about religion, and even defined up to Supreme Court of Nigeria, Nigeria is a multi-religious state. It is not a secular state as being misconstrued in some quarters that, oh, Nigeria is a secular state. Nigeria is not a secular state. Nigeria is a multi-religious state. Okay, the state recognizes the religion of the people of Nigeria.
Okay. If Nigeria is a multi-religious state, that means that everyone is compelled to have a religion.
Otherwise known as a secular state.
No, it's not the same.
No, I'm coming. That's the reason for this question. Yes. If you are saying Nigeria is a multi-religious state, and you are saying essentially that everyone must have a religion.
No, it's not a must.
But that's what it implies. That's why some people say, look, Nigeria is a secular state, so you can have options. But go ahead.
What people say is different from what the law says. People can say a lot of things based on the level of knowledge that they possess. But what the Nigerian Constitution, by virtue of Section 10, which has also been defined in the case of the government of the Attorney General of Lagos and ASEAT in the popularly called hijab case, it's established Nigeria is multi-religious. It was even an argument from the Court of Appeal up to Supreme Court as to the contest as to whether Nigeria is a secular state or a multi-religious state. So there was that argument at the Court of Appeal, which also was re-argued at the Supreme Court. So Nigeria, by definition of Section 10 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a multi-religious country, not a secular. In a secular state, no religion is recognized
at all.
The government will not even allow any religion to be mentioned, like Nigeria. When we are starting any event, either we ask a Muslim to pray or a Christian to pray. It's a recognition of the religion of the people of the country. In a secular state, there's nothing like that. That's why you also have in some establishments, the way they pray, you will not hear anything like God.
Okay. Let me ask the SAN in Abuja. Sorry, I'm not sure. I thought I heard you trying to, maybe I missed your name the other time, if I can just get that out of the way very quickly. Adetumbi, right?
Adetumbi, yes, sir.
Okay.
Adetumbi Musibao.
Okay. Let's clear this once and for all. I'm looking at a dictionary definition now that the difference, a secular state is one in which the government is officially neutral in matters of religion. But a multi-religious state, I'm trying to take a question from what Mr. Adebayo here said, that a multi-religious state is characterized by the coexistence of multiple religious groups within its population. Which does Nigeria belong?
We belong to the latter. Multiple religions. Multiple religions. Even in this country, you cannot say government does not officially intervene in the issue of religion. Remember that the AG Commission is set up by government. The appointment is by Mr. President. The Christian Pilgrimage Commission is set up by the law. So it can't fall into the former. It falls within the latter.
Okay. Okay.
For your question.
Okay, that's done.
But be that as it may.
Yes, to the question of to the issue at hand, or you want to speak on that same issue, go ahead.
No, I want to say something.
Okay.
You see, be that as it may, the fundamental problem in this country is that of a deceptive elite. We try to leave the substance and we chase the saddle. So, but maybe in the course of the discussion, when you ask your further question, I'll be able to expatiate. So please ask that question, sir.
No, I mean, you are probably going there already. The question I just would like to ask is on the subject of the Sharia debate in Southwest. So there are those who have also, and I can put the question to you, that there is a division between whether or not it's really a religious conversation or a political conversation.
Now, first and foremost, kindly note that the most superior book in Nigeria is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. It is the guiding principles. It binds the Muslims. It binds the Christians. It binds non-believers. Section 6 of Section 4 makes it very clear that the only body that has the power to set up any court of law is either a state house of assembly or in the National Assembly. So let us get it clear. Nobody can set up any court of law other than a state house of assembly through its law or National Assembly through its law. The Constitution itself establishes what it calls Superior Court of Law. That's Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, the High Court, the Sharia Court of Appeal, the Customary Court of Appeal. Those ones have been, the High Court of Federal Capital Territory, the National Industrial Court, those ones have been established by the Constitution. No argument about it. The Constitution now gives the power to a State House of Assembly or the National Assembly to establish a court inferior, not superior, inferior to the High Court. So, when you are talking about Sharia court or Sharia panel, whether with their Muslim groups or their Christian group, no group has the power to establish any court. So,
And under our jurisprudency, even up to the Supreme Court, it has been recognized that there's what is known as customary arbitration. The fundamental features of which is that, one, you must submit to it voluntarily. Secondly, you must accept the outcome voluntarily. You may submit to it, you may disagree with the outcome. Nothing is going to happen. You may refuse to submit to it, nothing is going to happen. So in essence, my brother that just spoke said is the chairman of Sharia panel in Lagos. He does not have any power to compel any Muslim to come there. It's a voluntary matter. If I want to go there as a Muslim, I can go there. If I don't want to go there as a Muslim, I may not go there. No law, nobody will arrest me. Unlike when I get a summons from a magistrate court, it's a compulsion. I must go there. As he's sitting as a chairman of the panel, he does not have the power to issue summon. He cannot summon anybody. Not even his own son that is above 18 years that he gave birth to. He cannot summon that boy or that girl to come to the panel. But when it comes to voluntary action, every Muslim has a right to go to that panel. I will call it a religion arbitration, rather than calling it either a court of law or anything. It's just an arbitration by the Muslims within the Muslims. So I do not see any need for any noise in respect of this matter at all.
All right, let me bring it back to you, Mr. Lawal. Do you agree with him?
Yes, that was what I said from the beginning, that the panel is a voluntary organization of Muslims for the Muslims. And if you as a Christian, you feel any part of this Muslim law, you want to submit to it, and you come. If you voluntarily come, we will listen to you and tell you our position and the position of Sharia on it. Because many a times, people do come for marriages. I must be sincere with you. People do, instead of conducting their marriages outside, they come to that court to conduct their marriage. And when they come with their relations. And some of these relations are Christians. And when they see the conduct of the marriage, the questions, the answers, and the method which we apply, some of them ask, can a Christian come to do this? I say, well, if you think our procedure is agreeable to you, you can come. You are free to come. We are not compelling anybody. So that is justice. It's a very simple procedure. And it's known under Sharia.
Okay, let me ask you a straightforward question. Yeah. So are you for this Sharia court in your state?
Yes, I am for the Sharia. They call it, you see, it is just a matter of semantic. It is not government that is forming it. It is just the replica of what is happening in Lagos State they wanted to establish there. They just use, because that is what is known to the world. Percentage of literacy in Nigeria may be high, but the people who really understand the content, the meaning which they are trying to give out, it is until they use that language, court. If you say panel, it may not be clear to people. And that is why they said court. But what they really meant is panel.
But you have explained the difference to us. The panel is not, the panel is voluntary.
Exactly. That is what I'm saying.
But the court is not.
Is not.
If I get a summons from a court, I have to present myself on the day that the court wants me to present myself.
That is what we are saying now. The institution that they were trying to establish then was a panel,
not a court.
Not a court. They stated it categorically thereafter that it wasn't a court. It's a panel. So it's just like it's semantic.
It's not from.
It's not from the government.
When you say court versus panel, from your explanation, it's not semantical.
No,
can I
you
come
see,
in?
It's not semantic.
No,
because they're quite different.
They're significantly different.
Let me clear one thing.
Yes.
Who is establishing that court? The Oyo State. Is it the government or a Muslim body? It's a Muslim body, which is not recognized by the state.
That's the point we're making.
So that is why when the government says it's not a court, or the government is trying to correct them, they quickly came out, well, we don't mean the court established by the government, but the panel where Muslims will come together to adjudicate on their private matters.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So what they were in Oyo State, what's happening there is actually a form of arbitration, alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
That is what is being set up in Oyo State, not a court. The mere fact that the word court is used. If you look at the dictionary meaning of courts, you have even estates being called courts. You have somebody builds a house and name it.
That is very, very correct.
It's semantics.
However,
the word
you have also said in law,
yes,
there is no semantics.
No, there is a difference between law court and when a court is used in other contexts. We need to be, if we are dispassionate about it, whether it is called independent, and even from what you heard from your state, it is called independent Sharia court. Independent, neutral.
It is not affiliated to government.
It is not the institution of the state that is creating it. And it is defined as alternative dispute resolution platform for people of faith to have their matter looked into by those who are knowledgeable in that area. That is what it's all about. It is not a court of law, like Ustaz said. It's a platform where I feel that, because like what we have, what has really brought about all of this is the gap, is what is missing to a Muslim who wants to profess their religion, that yes, I'm a Muslim. I want to conduct my marriage. I don't go to registry. Yes, there's a marriage, there's a dispute, we have issue of custody, maintenance, and what the Constitution says is that personal law. If you look at section 2775, which talks about the Sharia Court of Appeal, and the jurisdiction is dealing with civil matters,
Yes.
and personal law of the Muslims. It is not, there's no criminal jurisdiction. You don't have it there.
Okay.
It's purely civil and relates to personal Muslim matters.
Okay. Mr. Adetunbi, based
Yes,
on
sir.
what
Yes,
they
ma'am.
have both explained now, it all seems like much ado about nothing, doesn't it? If it's all about
Honestly,
a panel and not a court, what's all the fuss about?
Ma, I said something. You see, in Nigeria, politics is everything. Everything is politics. I have told you that we have a deceptive elite. We have so many problems that we are supposed to be dissipating our energy on, rather than this is just a religion arbitration. Probably it ought not to have been called independent Sharia court of appeal or whatever. Maybe you call it independent Sharia panel. And the people too who are antagonizing it, they know that they cannot be forced to that place. They know that they cannot be taken to that place. Just like my brother is trying to explain to you, Section 275 established a Sharia court of appeal. The Constitution said clearly that it should deal with Islamic personal law. The same Constitution now confer the power on the State House of Assembly to give further jurisdiction to that Sharia Court of Appeal. So, which means that it's only the State House of Assembly that can venture into issue of criminal jurisdiction or not. The Constitution has said it clearly that it's about civil matters. It's very clear. Section 277 confer the jurisdiction of Sharia Court on the Sharia Court of Appeal. So, but and if you look at the opening words of our Constitution, please let me read it for you. When you look at the opening words of our Constitution, I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
Are you looking at the part, Mr. Adetunbi, that says we the people?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Are you looking at the part that says we the people?
Of Nigeria.
Okay, go ahead.
Having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity and harmony as one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign nation under God, dedicated to the promotion of inter-African solidarity, world peace, and international cooperation and understanding, and to provide by a constitution. That means that our intention, we set out to live in peace and harmony. If we are to live in peace and harmony, we have to carry everybody along.
Okay. Now, Mr.
We have to give rooms.
Yeah,
for
that is understood. But
yeah,
the issue, one of the things that's perhaps giving concerns in some quarters is the issue of trust. You would recall that as far back as of trust, if you can hear me well, I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now, sir.
Okay, good. So one of the issues that's been an issue over the years is the issue of trust. You would recall that it was during the Babangida administration of between 1985 and 1993, 94, thereabout, that the whole idea of Islamization, really got to a head in the country. That was about the time we understood Nigeria was made a member of the Organization of Islamic Countries and Congress. And a number of people have expressed the concern they have started. You understand? And the fear has always been there that people want to some elites, as you said, they want to Islamize Nigeria. Now, so whenever this issue of anything that is remotely connected to Islamization, if I can put it that way, it's only natural that people are edgy. So what's the assurance here that this is not part of the quote-unquote agenda that some people are afraid of, in the name particularly of distrust over the years?
You see, sir, let me first tell you the truth of the truth of the matter is this. Elites are from both across the divide. They are neither interested in Islamizing Nigeria or Christianizing Nigeria. They are interested in their own interest. We play politics with everything. The Constitution is very clear. It's a House of Assembly that is going to can establish any court of law. The National Assembly is the one that has the power to make law. In the National Assembly, you have the Christians, you have the Muslims. As of today in Nigeria, the president of the Senate, to my knowledge, is a Christian. His deputy is a Muslim. How can you now talk of Islamization or Christianization in that regard? It is extremely difficult. Our elites, they know. But politics is a bitter game in Nigeria. And they know that the way the commoners can be carried along is for them to play politics with our life and with our religion. When Sharia was said to be established in 1999, the criminal aspect, or thereabout in Zamfara State, the then president, Obasanjo, came out and he labeled it as political Sharia. You and I should judge whether the man has spoke the truth then or not, as of today. If really we are interested in Sharia, even for the Muslims, in Kano alone, how many out of school children do we have in Kano? Are we addressing that problem? How many do we have in Oyo State? How many do we have in Lagos State? Are those children going to grow to be either Christians or Muslims, or are they going to become criminals? Which is neither useful for either the Christians or the Muslims. So, but everything is politics in our country. It's not about trust. People are deliberately creating problems where there should be none. I have told you that up to the Supreme Court, there's what is known as customary arbitration, where you must, one, submit to it, and you must accept. I can go to Sharia panel. They can give their findings, and I said I'm not going to accept it, and I will head to court. So, and we all know this. These are very clear from our Constitution.
Okay.
It's clear, it is there.
Okay.
But we leave the substance. We are making noise.
Okay, Mr.
People can gather in the church and say, come for arbitration. People can gather in the mosque and say, come for arbitration, if you don't really want to play politics with it.
Okay.
So the issue of trust it arises because of politics. We are playing politics. Remember that Babangida that you mentioned did not want to go. And he needed to do something that we used to divide the society. And he did it. Simple.
All right, Mr. Lawal, there is also that issue that some people have mentioned about, okay, is it that Nigeria's established courts are inadequate to resolve the issues, which is now necessitating a Sharia panel.
Exactly. You see, marriage in Islam is a religious duty, a religious responsibility. And everything that goes along with it. You see, Islam is a very detailed religion that talks about the whole of your life. And your personal life must necessarily be guided by Sharia. What will you tell me? If a Muslim who married 4 wives had problems, or the wives had problems, they need to go to settle their dispute in the courts, which relates to the number of wives. What court is going to advocate about that? Is it the Christian-oriented court, which is our regular court? Because it is, the common law is based on Christian doctrine, which does not recognize multiple marriage, or the customary law that does not have provision of how to manage 4 wives. Because apart from marrying 4 wives, there are rules that guides it. But so if any of those matters comes up, those who are in the customary court that doesn't know anything about Sharia, how would they be able to manage it?
No,
that's number one.
On a quick, my apologies, on this issue that you just raised, if memory serves me right, my grandfather had 2 wives.
Yeah.
So the culture, Yoruba culture,
we are not talking of marriage under customary law. We are talking of marriage under Islamic law. There are rules that guides how you manage your 4 wives. So if those rules is being infringed, which law are you going to take it to?
Okay.
Which court? The customary law does not have such rules.
Okay.
The High Court does not have such rules. So it is only Sharia court that can have such rules.
Okay. And
it is only in Sharia court. That is why we have done cases. Even it was raised by a non-Muslim at the customary court, where Muslims took themselves to the husband and the wives were Muslims. And a non-Muslim was their lawyer, was the lawyer to the man, and he raised issue of jurisdiction to that the marriage conducted by the 2 parties can never, conflict about it can never be adjudicated on by customary court. And the High Court upheld it. In another case, Ubaduma versus Adika, very, very recently, the High Court also upheld the family court that gave judgment in respect of Muslim marriage, said you do not have that jurisdiction, and sent them to Islamic panel, which we sit in. You understand? Our cases have gone to High Courts, our cases have gone to Court of Appeal, our cases have reached up to Supreme Court.
So what happens, okay. Let me ask, my apologies, Salaro. Yes. What happens in a case where the husband is Christian, the wife is Muslim, or vice versa?
Or the other way around?
Yes.
It would depend on what type of marriage was conducted. A marriage conducted at the registry is governed by the Marriage Act.
Exactly.
And the dissolution of that marriage can only be in the
conventional court.
Yes,
conventional court.
Because it's a marriage under the Act.
Okay.
If it's a marriage that is not under the Act, now depending on, is it Islamic marriage or customary marriage? If it is Islamic marriage, both parties who wants to dissolve the marriage are at liberty to approach the independent Sharia panel in the state to say, we want to dissolve our marriage. And that is the only place where the issue as to how the children have to be looked after, the custody of the children, who takes custody.
So it's depending on it's a choice to go there.
If the marriage is conducted under the Islamic law.
Now, okay. You talked about customary court. What's the difference between customary court and traditional wedding marriage?
The Islamic marriage is unique.
I'm asking, I'm not.
The customary is like you mentioned that your grandfather had 2 wives.
Yes.
I don't know whether it was under Islamic law or the customer, the way, like we are Yorubas, the way marriage are conducted, like take dowry.
Yes. Is that customary?
That is customary, dowry, ceremony.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear about that.
That is traditional.
That is traditional marriage.
Okay.
Right.
Islamic marriage is a totally different set of marriage.
Here's a comment from a viewer, Festus Akimboyowa. Do we know if majority of Muslims in the Southwest want Sharia? How are we sure that the women will not be discriminated against in Sharia court or panel? Whether it is a court or panel, they will hear cases and give judgment. Mr. Dayton, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, let me comment on it.
Yes, please.
That's what I'm saying. You see, to his first question, do we know whether the majority of Muslims, do they want Sharia? It is the House of Assembly that will determine that. If by their simple majority, they are able to pass a law, and assent is given to that law by the governor, then there will be a Sharia court of appeal for such a state. Because the Constitution has said that. So that's how you can determine whether majority want it or not. Because when you do vote for them. What really is talking about whether panel or whatever that they do give judgment. As a panel, the first thing they do, what you call judgment, in law, is adversary. When the two of you now agree to that pronouncement, because it's an arbitration, it's a religious arbitration, it's like a customary arbitration. When the two parties across the divide now agree to that pronouncement, it becomes binding, and that is voluntary. Whether I'm going to agree to it or I'm not going to agree to it. The person, just like what my other brother is trying to explain, a Muslim who is practicing his religion and who has that right under the Constitution has a right to practice that Islam, including his marriage, succession, will, and other personal things. So it is only either a Sharia court of appeal or the lower Sharia court, which they do call either they have the lower Sharia court mostly in the north, that will be able to say, to make a binding pronouncement. That one will have force of law. The Sharia panels that is being set up in the southwest will first be adversary. It's going to graduate into binding, it's going to have a binding force when the two sides across the divide now say, okay, we agree to your pronouncement. After they've agreed, you cannot go back and say you are not doing it again. Even if you go to confessional court, you will be stopped from saying, oh, I'm not accepting it. But from that procedure, you can see that this thing is voluntary.
Okay.
Before Babangida era that my brother mentioned, or even long in time, when I was growing up in secondary school, in the 70s, in the 80s, even in the 70s particularly, in the village, we used to relate perfectly without making this so much noise about the difference in religion or whatever. If you establish a Sharia court of appeal in Oyo State today, you cannot force any Christian to go there. That is number one. Even a Muslim who says, look, I'm not going to marry under the Islamic law, you cannot force him to go there.
Yeah.
A Muslim has a right to marry under the act. Because this is a heterogeneous society. You have the fundamental human rights.
Okay.
We just need better explanations. Okay. And we must understand that if we are to grow this country, there must be tolerance, there must be peace, and there must be love.
Indeed.
Tolerance, peace, and love.
Indeed.
That is how we can grow this country.
Okay.
I will give a clear example of making this noise about nothing. Look at the hijab case that my brother referred to. The argument in that case, those people that they said the man, because the lady is an infant then, or she was an infant, said, let my child use hijab. She does not say, let the child of another Muslim brother use hijab. No, she said, my own child, let her use hijab. what are we arguing about?
Okay.
In that one.
All right.
Okay.
It's not about your own children.
So we're running out of time, Mr. Adetumbi.
Yes.
So,
And there's a comments from
we
viewers.
took that from High Court to the Supreme
And this
Court.
is one of them. This is from Monsuru Olani Ogundikwe. I am not against Sharia law. The fear is people don't know much about the positive aspects of Sharia, except the negatives we see from our brothers in other parts of the country, where hands and legs are cut off, where one is stoned to death because she aired her view on a topic. I don't know in Quran where Prophet Muhammad ordered that someone should be stoned to death. Some operators of the Sharia make it appear as if Sharia law is terrible. Even in Saudi Arabia, ladies now are allowed to drive, they now watch football matches, they put on trousers. Sensitization is required so that people will know Sharia has a lot people stand to benefit and not the other way around as it is being propagated in some parts of the country.
Absolutely. You wanted to say something, sir?
Yes. From the last comment from the what was
viewer.
Yes. That women may be discriminated against.
Yes.
In fact, Islamic law is a law that protects women most. And that is why before a woman marries, it must be with the consent of his guardian, not necessarily not unreasonably withheld, because she's going into another family. So you don't just, because you are a matured woman, you just go and then you just go and marry out yourself without the protection of somebody from your family. That's number one. Number two, rights of women are enshrined out in Sharia completely. Because women dress with hijab does not mean they are being discriminated against. Allah sees women as precious creations, that their exposure of some parts of their body may call attention of some individual that may want to unnecessarily take advantage of them. Now say, well, you do this. After you might have done this, then he cannot have excuse of doing this. That is not discrimination. It's to protect her. And some other areas of Sharia, I cannot see the particular area where somebody will say Islam is discriminating against women. Women are protected, even in all ramification, fairly as any other person could be protected.
Okay.
And to buttress that enlightenment, like the commentator said,
yes.
Either two, people do not know about Islamic finance. Now we have Islamic insurance, we have Islamic bond, the central bank, Islamic bank. We have projects being financed by Islamic products, and these establishments, these products are all enjoyed by Muslims and non-Muslims. It's about knowing about it. When people don't know about it, that's where the phobia may come in. But now banks are there, insurance are there, road project bonds, and
I think you have to come for a marketing drive.
I
didn't mention any institution.
Is indicting you all, our panel. It says even members of your panel are using court and panel interchangeably, and they insist Sharia is a panel and not a court. They are as confused as the rest of us.
I cleared that. Whether it's called panel, like Delena Six said,
yes.
The proper word to be used is a panel. It's an alternative dispute resolution platform. Because we are Nigerians, people can use any word, and it is context that we are talking about. In the context in which the word is being used, what is actually meant.
That's another conversation altogether.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Adetumbi, your final thoughts on this, because we are out of time.
Well, my final thought is just to appeal to all of us, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you don't believe in anything, to know that there must be tolerance, there must be peace, and there must be love. We should recognize the fact that we need to grow this country. We should recognize the fact that we need to develop our economy. Saudi Arabia, you call it an Islamic state, yet it's seriously developed. What are we doing? So that as we are paying attention, we can live together in harmony, and we need to do that. Otherwise, we will all suffer for it.
All right, thank you so much. Well, Professor Enakena says, insofar the sudden zest for Sharia in southwest Nigeria is neither contrary nor hindering the constitutional jurisprudence or its adjudication, is not superior to the administration of our judicial processes as enshrined in the Constitution in Nigeria, and it is not going to infringe on constitutional rights of non-Muslims, and they feel it'll enhance the economic empowerment of the Southwest. So be it. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time this morning. Mr. Iskil Lawal, Chairman, Independent Sharia Panel of Lagos, and Legal Secretary, Muslim Community of Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Dewumi Adebayo, Chairman, Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
As well as Mr. Musbao Adetumbi, who is a Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts this morning.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for us.
Okay, so now we know, as you started by saying, much ado about nothing really. So, but there is something else we will give much ado about when we return from this break. Stay with us.
Oh my God, unity will only make us stronger. Don't let them divide us.
Right. Well, my partner did say at the end of that segment that this is not much ado about nothing. Remember last week we were talking about 50% tariff increment?
Come on. You have to bring that up now.
Well, we have to, because we're talking to one of them now.
Okay.
We're talking to Airtel. Airtel Nigeria, one of the country's top telecommunications providers, has reaffirmed its commitment to delivering superior customer service following the NCC, Nigerian Communications Commission's recent approval of a 50% tariff adjustment across the industry. I'd like to welcome the CEO of Airtel Nigeria, Mr. Dinesh Balsingh. Good morning, Mr. Balsingh. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Thank you for joining us this morning. Well, if you have been watching from the beginning, you would have seen that I read out some charges from another network, I must admit, and how this increment had actually kicked in before the NCC gave its approval. Is that the same with your network, sir?
No, I think we've just waiting for the approvals to come, and we will follow the proper approval process before any change is done.
So when is this increment going to kick in?
We're still engaging with our regulators on the elements. We are also simplifying our tariffs so that it's easy for people to understand. So I think we're just waiting for that. I don't have a definitive timeline.
Okay.
But it's in the cards.
Okay.
On that same subject, Mr. Balsingh, how crucial is the tariff adjustment for the sustainability of the industry as far as you are concerned?
See the increasing demand for digital services across sectors like, education, media, banking, transportation, manufacturing. All of this has come with an increased demand on telecom capacity. So upgrading our networks to deliver more data capacity is a very crucial element of our sustainable future. Not just this, to keep in pace with, so that the Nigerian economy keeps pace with the global improvements in technology. So we need to keep constantly upgrading new technology. You would have seen, from 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G, 6G is under development. Likewise, new technology upgrades, system upgrades, well as improved security. Data security is now much more a priority because people are uploading personal information online. All of this requires significant investments, and which are all sourced from the international market at costs which are denominated in US dollars. And in the past 3 to 4 years, the dollar has gone up from exchanging for about 500 to about 1,500. And that's a threefold increase. And that's kind of increased the cost of investments dramatically to maintain and sustain a good quality network. In addition to this increase in the capital expenditure, operating expenses has risen by over 300% in the last 18 to 24 months alone. Powering telecommunication infrastructure requires significant energy resources. Energy is the single largest operating cost for running a network. And both Airtel Nigeria and other networks in the sector, we face soaring fuel costs to keep the networks running seamlessly. The industry also continues to grapple with rampant fiber cuts, vandalization of our infrastructure. Every day in Airtel Nigeria, we suffer about 40 fiber cuts. I would put the number at 200 plus for the industry. We have about 400 to 500 sites vandalized in the last 1 year. I'm sure that same problems are there with every other network. Not just is this affecting service, but repairing this, maintaining this, investments for repair and maintain facilities, all of these are coming at a large cost. Despite all these challenges, Airtel Nigeria, we remain steadfast in ensuring quality of service. From expanding 4G and 5G networks to meeting the growing demand in urban, rural areas, we've painstakingly absorbed the rising cost of all these obligations. To avoid compromising the customer experience and ensuring Nigerians, regardless of their location, have access to good communication and remain connected to the digital economy. So, to a large extent, the adjustments that we are talking about now are going to alleviate some of this pain and continue to keep the sector surging ahead with investments in the foreseeable future.
Okay. How is Airtel strengthening its commitment to the customer in the wake of these adjustments?
Firstly, I think we are thankful that the industry sustainability has been addressed, and we will see a future of continued telecom investments, which is crucial to the nation's purpose. As Nigeria continues in its journey towards becoming a digitally driven economy, reliable telecommunication services are very crucial, and they remain the backbone of our collective progress. And at Airtel Nigeria, we are committed to delivering a world-class connectivity to millions of Nigerians, enabling economic growth, empowering businesses, and enhancing lives. In wake of these tariff adjustments, we will now double down on our efforts to address multiple issues facing the sector, especially in the area of service quality and enhance network in deep rural areas. I also want to talk about some specific points of how Airtel will ensure that subscribers get value for the new tariffs. First is by delivering quality services. As the NCC continues to monitor operators' compliance with service quality standards, and our EVC has been very vocal about this particular aspect, and rightfully so. Airtel also reaffirms its dedication to surpassing these benchmarks, ensuring customers experience uninterrupted and superior quality. So we commit to expand our network, enhance digital inclusion, and also enable the government's economy turnaround agenda and foster opportunities for all Nigerians. And lastly, I think one of the big commitment for us is to be a reliable and a trusted partner in Nigeria's digital transformation journey.
Let me ask you this question. This one is quote unquote off the books, but what has been your experience as Airtel's CEO in the industry, particularly with your customers? Almost every network has the issues of quality of service, and the calls have always been out there, the challenges have always been there. There is no doubt that telecom companies such as yourself are having humongous issues all over the place. What have been your own experience in that regard?
Well, see, if I say the experience of our network largely, we have a few crucial issues, which I think I covered upon in the previous question, but especially around the area of fiber. So obviously the country is expanding, the roads are expanding, and we have a lot of fiber cuts which are happening, which kind of affects the entire transport network. Because, there are two aspects in telecom. One is access at the point when the customer is there, and then transporting that call or data session from the location of the customer to our switches, and then from our switches to caches or to the international submarine cable network. So that's the transport layer. Now, this transport layer is largely managed through the fiber. And as these fiber cuts keep happening with construction work happening, this kind of affects the entire transport, and it results in disruptions. So we are building more and more fiber, and we are also relaying the fiber when construction is happening. Thankfully, the CNI has come in, and I want to thank our Honorable Minister. I want to thank our EVC. They have been championing this, and we are putting some way of building infrastructure, both the construction side and the telecom side, in a very harmonious manner. So that will solve this problem. The second issue is also on access. On the access side, ensuring that this, because we are largely an energy fuel-based powering up of the network. So as we are able to increase the power availability, which I'm very happy that there is some progress happening, and we are seeing improvements by the day. So that will ensure that we are less reliant on fuel and have the network powered on largely on NEPA power. So if that happens, then I think a big challenge on the access part will be resolved. But still, we are still ensuring fueling cycles are maintained and ensuring that the sites are up. But there are challenges as you fuel up rural parts and deep rural parts. There are challenges, but those are the things that we are managing. But I think a lot of actions we are taking around this access and transport layer. A lot more has to be done, and that's largely my observation.
Interesting. Now, you have operated in various parts of the continent already, so I'm wondering what positive effect that you see a sustained telecom industry having on the Nigerian economy.
I think first is I would like to say our Honorable Minister has also been constantly prodding us to deliver world-class connectivity. And he has sufficient reason to ask for that, because today connectivity will enable economic growth. It's very clear. It is also evident that increase in teledensity and data consumption is proven to lead as lead indicators for GDP growth. So as we increase connectivity and reach more and more rural areas, we find significant economic growth happening there, and that kind of fuels that area and fuels overall GDP growth. Data connectivity also gives access to information, removes the entire aspect of ambiguity. So that also drives a lot of GDP growth, a lot of awareness, which leads to GDP growth. So I think that's one big thing. Empowering businesses. Today, businesses are increasingly reliability on connectivity, both in urban and in rural areas. I mean, post-COVID, we've seen the movement of a lot of digital work that's happening, and offices are online, things like that. So all of that requires a lot of these businesses to have connectivity. And imagine if connectivity gets disrupted. Those are the challenges that are there. So empowering businesses is one large positive effect that the sustained telecom industry will have. Overall, I think enhancing lives, because network today is as essential as probably water or power, because we are a social race, and we have an innate need to communicate, and communication is taking various forms and shapes. And telcos are supporting this as the backbone with infrastructure. So overall, enhancing lives, ensuring people stay connected, and running a seamless network, I think these are all important elements of having a positive effect on our sustained telecom industry. Lastly, I would also add, one last point is the future technology needs of the country, which is ushered in by the high-speed 5G era, like the AI is there, cloud computing, data science applications, blockchain. All of these will have a future impact, a future further positive impact on the economy, and All of this requires a resilient network. So without a resilient network, none of this will come to fruition. So these are all some of the positive effects that a sustained telecom industry will have on the economy.
You know, we could go on and on with you on that one. Just that. I mean, we could have a whole conversation on that. But, you know, on that conversation, and I know that my colleague would like to ask you a question around customer experience, but I want to ask you that on that same question of sustained telecom industry on the Nigerian economy, at the end of the day, it falls back to the subscriber. So what positive effect do you see this sustained telecom industry having on the subscriber? Because, as you said, data is life now. Our lives are literally lived, you know, virtually. So what do the subscribers need to understand as to how a sustained telecom industry is to their advantage? And I ask that because many are already thinking about alternatives, believing that the quality of service they are getting is not just good enough. So what's in it for them, for your subscribers, when the Nigerian telecom industry is sustained?
Yeah, so one key thing is basically ensuring seamless connectivity. That's very important, and continuous flow of a seamless connectivity. I think that's something which every customer must would feel that would feel the importance of that. So today, disruptions. There are many disruptions happening in connectivity of customers, whether it is voice calls or data calls. So a sustained telecom industry would ensure that calls are sustained. Calls are uninterrupted. Data sessions are. I cannot rule out. There will be some situations, because we are a growing economy, of some disruptions, but I think it will largely be. They would be able to make calls. They would be able to do data sessions. So these are all important elements that the customer would actually feel. Coming on to the internet, if youngsters are doing a lot of advanced applications on the internet, so all of that will require fast speeds. So I think that's an important element. So customers would feel today we are operating 50 Gbps, 60 GB, I mean, kind of speeds that we are operating. So these speeds would be very crucial for customers to continue to, they would feel that in a sustained telecom industry. So if we are not sustained, some of these things would get disrupted. And this exactly is what I mean by, but all of this would kind of lead to economic growth and thereby GDP. But this is what a customer would actually want to come to expect when the telecom industry is sustained.
How is your network ensuring that subscribers get value for the new tariffs?
Okay, so first we pride ourselves as a customer-focused telecom company, and we've been doing a lot of projects, programs. First, let me come around access, and I'll come on to some of the customer-facing features later. But coming on to access. First is we keep continuously investing every year in new network masts. So every year we have masts coming up, and we go to deeper and deeper rural areas to ensure that connectivity is there. So that is going to, obviously that's going to continue further, but that's something which we have been continuously doing. Till date, we've been rolling out LTE feverishly, and we have 100% LTE network. Even in deep rural areas where fewer customers use data, I think we've laid the infrastructure. As the need matures, the connectivity is there for everyone to use. We're also rolling out 5G network in the key towns. So around access, I think a lot of these things we're doing. Coming on to transport, we've rolled out metro fiber to connect houses, buildings. Apart from our sites, we also connect houses, buildings with the metro fiber and enhancing resiliency to the fiber so that there are multiple routes to the same destination. So this is something that we keep continuously doing every year. We also keep running all our data centers to ensure that services are distributed in each of the geographies. And we also have caches for localized video storage, and which is able to meet to the needs of the local populace, submarine cable investments. So these are certain things that we. So this is largely on the network side. It might be a little technical for consumers, but all of these things are kind of continued investments, and ensuring that it is top notch is something that we pride as a customer focused company. Coming on to the tariffs, I think we are talking about simplifying tariffs is one big agenda in this entire thing. So there's a lot of bonuses, there's a lot of ambiguity around tariffs, which we can probably do away with this and give clarity to customers. So simplifying tariffs is another big agenda that we have embarked upon. I know the EVC is also very specific about that, and I personally am very keen that we move in this direction to simplify tariffs and keep people very openly they're able to see. Likewise, as we are doing this tariff increase, we are also stepping up campaigns on how customers can save, saving data. You don't need to keep your data on for some apps which you are not using. So there are videos that we are putting out on to customers how they can save data. So some of these things are areas that we are investing in heavily, so that we're able to give clarity to the customer. So I think these are the two large things that we're doing.
Quickly, you just told us now that Airtel is customer focused. So what are the projects and programs that Airtel has traditionally executed to promote outstanding customer experience?
I think I covered that a bit in my earlier session. So first is, as a customer-focused telecom company, you need to ensure that your network travels ahead of consumers. So as customers move to city extensions, we first keep investing network ahead of time, so that when people move, network is available for them. So that's one of our large projects. So where do you continuously invest on new network, so that people, as they are moving, are able to access? The second thing is ensuring that every site that we have is able to give a superior data network. So whether it is largely LTE that I'm talking about, because that's where most of the devices are. So giving LTE in 100% of the sites. So that's one project that we took. We were about 70-80%. We moved to about 100% LTE network in the last, about a year back. So that's something which we've done. Not just LTE, you need fiber. So connecting more and more sites with fiber. That is a large project. It's a large program that we run. And these are all infrastructure-based projects that we keep running. Next, how do customers access data? Accessing data in localized caches means that they don't need to. The data doesn't need to travel long distances and come back. So videos are locally posted in different parts, so that when people want to access, they're able to quickly access. So these are some of the key projects and programs that we are, doing.
But Mr. Basing, it seems that your subscribers are in for a wonderful time. And all we can do is wish you all the best, and thank you for coming to reaffirm your commitment to excellent service experience for your subscribers. Mr. Dinesh Basing is the CEO of Airtel Nigeria. Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you for having me.
Your renewed commitment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so thank you for staying with us thus far. We still have more for you after this break.
Oh, that for instance, you can use mathematical formulas to solve
Formula E.
healthcare problems. And I'm not talking about buying drugs. I have no idea what I just said right now. So they will come for me. But of course, there is someone in the studio that does. Mr. Kilifidin Osanyikweju is a lecturer in the Department of Agricultural and Biosystem Engineering at the Bells University of Technology. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Nice meeting you, sir, and it's my pleasure being here, sir.
Sorry, did what I say make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
It made sense to you? Ah, and I'm not as stupid as I thought. Tell us about this thing, because what we understand is that, you know, there's something you call epidemiological models.
Yes, sir.
When we hear epidemiology, it's usually these people, NCDC. It talks about epidemiology and all of those ones.
That's right. Professor.
Yes, Chuku substitute anyway. So, but we understand that this Kilifidin's extermination and determinant of matrix is a new tool that helps to solve complex problems involving multiple variables to illustrate its significance. So, what does this mean?
What it actually means is that it's a model that has been a success, and I'm very glad that it has been a success. The model is actually used for solving a real-life problem, you understand, which involve us. And what brought about the model is basically the existing method that have been using in solving complex problem have some limitation, and that prompts me into going into this particular research. And after the discovery of that research, I discovered that it can be applied in various fields like education or agriculture. It can also be applied in for government and policy making, and you can also use it in industry. With all this, I feel that it will go a long way in bettering the Nigeria and also improving the economic growth of Nigeria. Now, let me relate. Now, let's start with the aspect of agriculture. Now, as a farmer, we want to apply some fertilizer like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium into a particular crop. And at the end
For example?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Now, after applying such those fertilizer, at the end of the day, you have your output. But if you don't know, after having those data, you may not really know which of these fertilizer that have actually contributed most to this yield. Then with the help of this particular model that have been developed, it can be able to analyze those data that you are obtained from the field and able to tell us which particular fertilizer out of these three that actually contributed most. And if the farmer is able to get this information, it can help in able to project that, oh, if I apply this quantity of fertilizer, this will be the output I'm going to have at the end of the day. Not only that, even it will also be able to optimize his resources, and that is the resources allocation. Because let's say, for example, nitrogen is the most, the one that eventually contributes most to the yield of the crop yield. That indicates that he's going to put more of his resources into nitrogen. And let's say the potassium is the one that is having the least out of, based on the analysis using that Chem model, it will be able to put less effort in applying that particular potassium in that particular soil. That is one advantage of this particular model. It helps in optimization and also resources allocation. And it also helps in preventing waste of resources. It will help in preventing waste of resources. That is one aspect on agriculture. Now, another aspect...
Sorry, sir.
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
That's the formula on the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So you just call the formula KEDM?
Yes, sir. It's a short form of the full name. Examination.
KEDM or KEN?
KENDEM. I call it KENDEM method.
Okay. KENDEM. Okay.
Okay. Because each time I see mathematical formulas, I think of Pythagoras theorem and all those, and half base times height and all those. What's the simple, description of this one?
Now, the way it is that the first thing is to gather data. It's very important because data help in making a decision, and having a correct data will help you in having a productive result at the end of the day. Like this particular one now, although I'm not saying it from far, but I can have some scenario. Like for example, the NPK fertilizer I've talked about the other time. Let's say the farmer apply 5 kg of fertilizer, that is for the nitrogen, 2 kg of potassium, and 1 kg, or let's say 4 kg of the phosphorus. And at the end of the day, the output for that such combination give 50. If I want to generate a formula for that, since let's say the nitrogen is 5 kg, it will be 5 nitrogen, plus let's say the potassium is 2 kg, it will be 2 potassium, that is 2p, plus you now have it as the last one, which is calcium. I said nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Let's say that one is 2. They also have it as 2p. At the end of the day, you have, let's say the answer is 50. That is the output. It will be 50. That is you generate it as equation 1. Let's say for let's say for first week. For second week now, you change the combination, and at the end of the day, you are the number of fertilizer, the kg you apply for the nitrogen, you note it. For the phosphorus, you note it, and also for the potassium, you also note it. But you put the application, the quantity that you apply, that is what you are going to put in front of each of those fertilizer. And the output, which is the yield that you have at the end of the day, that will be your answer. That will be the second week. For the third week, you also do the same. But you now have another combination. Let's say, the first one, let's say nitrogen is 5. The second week, we have 2 as the nitrogen, that is 2N. And for the third week, we have, let's say, 6 nitrogen, that is 2 kg of nitrogen, that will be 6N. At the end of the day, we now generate a simultaneous equation. We call it simultaneous equation in mathematics. Now, what the model we now do is that all those applications they have applied in terms of a kg, you will now put it into a square.
So you kind of get an average or something?
Now, the purpose of getting that is that it will now be able to know that if I have 1 kg of nitrogen, what will be the contribution of that 1 kg of nitrogen to the output?
Okay.
If I have 1 kg of potassium, what will be the contribution to the output? And the other one too, if I have 1 kg of the phosphorus, what will be the output? Let's say after getting the result now, you now discover that, the contribution of 1 kg of nitrogen is, let's say 5 kg of the output. That is the weight of the crop. You now discover that let's say it's 5 kg, 7 kg, and we have, let's say 25 kg. That is the output contribution. You now discover that this one is having 25, while the other one is having 5, and this one is having 2. That means that if I apply more on
more yield,
that means I'm going to have more yield, and it will also help in increasing productivity, and even the farmer will feel so happy in going more into the business because they already know the focus area. You understand, which will help in food security. And also help in productivity. But if you don't have this data, you are someone just using guessing. At the end of the day, you see that it's like a waste of effort. At the end of the day, now let's say you now put more effort in the one that you just have in 2 kg. You are putting all your money into that one. At the end of the day, you are going to have a low yield and you'll be discouraged. Even at the end of the day, you are going to leave the farming because it's not giving an output.
Okay. This is how this application can be used in agric.
Yes, sir. Yes,
in what other sectors can it be used?
Yes, students can also use it in time planning, to plan time. What do I mean by that? Now, let's say, for example, we have a CA that we have to identify the inputs that result to that CA? What are the activities I need to do?
What is CA?
That is a continuous assessment.
Okay.
That is a test. Then after having, at the end of the term, we have over 30 in the report card. We also have over 70, which is the exam. The continuous assessment is for the let's say, what are the activities we have been doing from the beginning of the term to the end of the term. Now, what are the contributions? It may be in form of an assignment. It may be in form of a term paper, and at the end of the day, they will do a proper test that everybody will see it and they will separate. Let's say those are the contributions to the CA. Now, a particular student now puts more effort in the term paper. Right? They're doing research, writing, full of. While another person puts effort in test. While another person may decide to put more effort in assignment doing. At the end of the day, now what we are going to do now is that, let's say at the end of the day, the student was able to know his scores in test, his scores in assignment, and his scores in term paper. Then we have those data. It may be for first term, second term, and third term. But in the report card, the teacher will just give you the overall score. But now, for we as the examiner, that we are examining students, after having those scores, even the assignment will be 100%. I can do the assignment 100%. I do my test 100%. I do the other one, the third one, the term paper 100%. But at the end of the day, I will now put more. There will now be some conversion. That at the end of the day, I will now convert that the test may be 35. As in, let's say the total score for the CA is 30. I can put the test for 20. Or let's say I put it as 20. I can put the term paper. I can just give over 5. That is, anything the student score cannot score more than 5 for the term paper. And then I can put the other one, which is the assignment. I can also put that one as a 5. Why the retest is 20. Now, if a student eventually puts more effort in the other two, not putting effort on the test, I then automatically, no matter what the student is having, if you have 5 plus 5, that is 10.
I can get more than 10.
10. But what the model will now do is that if the student is able to get the data for the score you have in all this, let's say for the test you have 70, for the that which will be 70 T for the test, and plus the other one, the assignment. Let's say the student have 30, it will be 30 A plus. The student have for the term paper. I can use P for my term paper to represent my term paper. Let's say that one is 65. That will be 65 P. Then the total score the student have at the end of the day, the student saw on the report card. Let's say that total score over 30. That one is, let's say the student was able to manage to score 24 over 30. That means the output will be 24. You understand? We now, for first term, second term, third term, the score can vary. They will be able to generate 3 equations for that. Now, what the model will now do is that it will now be looking at, if I have 1 mark in the test, what will be the contribution to that over 30? The contribution can just be 0.15. That means that if I have 2 marks, it will be times 2. That means I already have a particular mark, that is a times 2, that is 0.15 times 2 of the total mark. Then now, what the model will now do is that I have 1 mark in test, I have 1 mark in term paper, I have 1 mark in assignment. Now, at the end of the day, what will be, which one is contributing most to the over 30? Now, let's say after doing the calculation, let's say for 1 mark of test, I have 0.75. For 1 mark of assignment, I have 0.2. And for 1 mark for term paper, I have 0.6. Since the one that is having the highest contribution, that is 0.7, that means that I have to put in more effort in that in order for me to have a high mark when at the end of the over 30. Okay. Then what he is going to do is that I'm trying to analyze, to compare which one is more effective if I put in more effort in it. Which one will give me a desired
results.
output. Is more results.
Yes.
So that's what the model is trying to analyze. And at the end of it, the students will now be able to know that if I want to read.
We're running out of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And you need to tell us how this will impact Nigeria and the world.
Yes.
Because this is a new thing, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So you have done something which will affect our lives.
Yes,
but how is it going to affect our lives?
Now, the way the impact of this particular model is that in all the field that is any field that is using data, it can be applicable.
Okay.
Now, if we are able to start using it, it will help us in forecasting. That, oh, this is what I'm going to have. If I are able to have this combination, this is what I'm going to have. It's also be able to, that is optimization. And also time allocation. That means if I'm able to identify that, oh, this particular, if I put in more effort in this area, I'm going to have the highest output at the end of the day. I don't need to waste my time in putting my effort in the other area. And another one, in the area of the health sector, it can able to help in saving life. For example, when we have different varieties like medicine A, medicine B, and medicine C, a doctor apply it on a patient. At the end of the day, the doctor can be able to know that, oh, if I apply medicine A, the contribution is going to provide to the life of this person is going to get improved than applying medicine C. That means this doctor is going to put in more effort on that medicine A. That indicating that it's going to be able in saving life and bettering the life of people. And it also prevents waste of time. And for the businesswoman, the businesswoman can also apply this particular model to be able to know, after doing the analysis, we have the combination. Let's say we have 3 meal, fish, meat, and turkey. You understand? And you have your price, and you are able to know that, oh, this for 1 kg of fish, this is the price. For 1 kg of turkey, you know the one that is expensive and the one that is cheaper. And even it's also help in providing pricing. You understand? And what do you mean by what do you mean of a price strategy? Let's say, for example, you already know that 1 kg of fish is 700. You will be able to know the price. You have to sell it that you will not go to loss. Unlike guessing, when you don't know the actual price of 1 kg of those things. At the end of the day, you just waste time and you overcharge the customer. And when the customer see that, it's expensive, we surely go to another somewhere else.
It's a lot, really, Mr. Sanyekweju. It's a lot because people are tired of data. Unfortunately, without data, they can't do anything. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So perhaps one of the major challenges we have in this space now, you have about 60 seconds to address this, is getting or storing that data in the first place. Right?
Yes, getting data, that is gathering of the data.
Yes. How do you think that can be done to even identify? Because, I mean, just as you're saying now, students need to be able to allocate time, need to be able to allocate whatever to get better results. They don't even know that they have that kind of data or that they can even use that kind of data. Right? So how do you think that they can be helped with this formula?
Now, data gathering help in decision making. And when you are able to have a reliable data, you are able to, and when you are giving, when an instance occurs, immediately you record that data. Because if you don't record it at that particular moment, at the end of the day, you
forget it.
You forget it. Yeah. And when that takes place, automatically the decision you are now going to make from any analysis, because that kind of a data is not reliable. And when data is not reliable, at the end of the day, any decision you make, it will make your output, or any decision you make, it will make it to be inefficient, and it will not be productive, and it will also not bring about economic growth to the nation. Then you have to ensure that you keep data. We have a system that you can help in data keeping. Okay. Now with those data, if it's able to be kept accurately, it can help in optimization. Okay. It can help.
Where can people get access to this tool?
It's on internet.
Okay.
It's on internet. When you the title of the name is being input on the internet, So
it will come up.
It will come up.
Okay, so this is okay. You have published it on this website.
Yes, sir.
The Journal of Science and Inclusive Development.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So it is available there for anyone.
Yes, and another thing, because that is one of the challenge with the innovation. One of it is that publicity, as in to be awareness, because when people are not aware,
which is part of
they will not be able to use it.
Yes.
And this can be either by incorporating it into school curriculum or university. The student will be able to have it at early age.
So the name of the formula is the Quilifidins
extermination and determinant of matrix method.
Quilifidins extermination and determinant of matrix method. KEDM method.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your time this morning.
I really appreciate it.
Engineer Dr. Quilifidin Lekan Osonyipeju is a lecturer in the Department of Agricultural and Biosystem Engineering at Bells University of Technology. We appreciate your time today.
I really appreciate coming here.
Okay.
It's my pleasure.
So,
thank you.
Next, also, how do you call it? The home stretch.
Yes, it is the home stretch.
What? She smiles like
my favorite part of the program.
What's on the bill this? Are we gonna talk about Quilifidin's method in one way or the other in this segment? I guess you have to wait to find out.
With over 2 decades of expertise in motion graphics, animation and post-production visual effects, Christopher Fasikpebi's passion lies in crafting visually compelling and user-centric designs that captivate audiences and enhance brand narratives. Please welcome one of Nigeria's most relevant motion graphic artists and video compositors, Mr. Christopher Fasikpebi.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I got that right.
You're very right.
Fasikpebi. Yes. Yeah, I got it now.
Sorry, you can't animate that.
So you don't need to laugh at me anymore.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was just trying to help.
Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you very much.
Well,
so you're not just a graphic artist. You are a lot more than that.
So let me let me be clear. You know, many times we bring the artists here. We don't know what happens in the background. So you see a music video.
You don't know what goes into it.
You just see some people string things together, and then you see some that they bring more than the human beings on the face and all of those things. That's what you do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us who an animator is.
Yeah, that's
because anime, the A-N-M, N-A-N-I-M-A.
N-O-I.
Do you see the rest T-O-R is English? Elu is animal. So tell us who an animator is.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be here this morning, and I'm so gratefully,
Stop being modest, okay?
Well, an animator is someone who brings life to a static image or a static object. You know, it's just that, it's that process of applying, movement. For instance, I can take a picture, just to move it across, a particular scene. And you'll be amazed, that is animation. So now it now goes into what you call like 3D, the 2D animation. If you have seen some of the heavy animated movies where you see some visual effects, that you see inside some of those movies, those work are the work of animator.
We'll appreciate it a little more, but give us a bit of a background.
All right.
Because when I was growing up, in the generation of some people, sitting next to me. Sorry, not sitting next to me. In the generation of some people, it is paper like this that they used to write graphics. And then they will, once that one is done, they will remove it and put another person. And in fact, it was so bad that they would, she's remembering the days. It was so bad that they would just write, produced by Alero Edu. They will record it, pause. They'll put another person, directed by Christopher Fashikwebi. Recording for some time, pause. So tell us how far we have gone from that time.
From that time.
We have really gone far. In fact, I remember, what back in
described.
Yeah, what you described. Where we call it slate. You have to move one plate, and But these days,
no, some people cannot even relate.
They cannot even relate to this. Because I was telling someone, I said, I remember way back when we watched when we wait for weekend TV, and the color by alone, the music, we are amazed to see those things. But the computer has really helped in this sense of bringing graphics to life much more than the way it used to be. They were trying there, but those are the beginning. But now, most of all of those things, you just type something, and then there's a program that visually translates whatever you type or whatever you want to bring up on screen, and to show in exactly as you want it to be. And it is more finer, much more finer, and it is easier. I make the job easier. I make television, film, production to be so fascinating,
more compelling, more interesting to watch, and all.
And colorful.
You know what I'm just thinking now, Christopher? I'm just thinking we went from that and then see where we are now, and then add AI to it. Tell me, how does AI affect what you do?
Wow, beautiful. It is, in fact, in some of the things that they've said so far, AI is actually a tool. Some people are making a lot of things about whether it's going to take people's jobs. Editor will not have a job in anymore. Animator will not have a job. No, it's actually a tool. And it is already recorded that in this year, 2025, it will reduce the time we spend in producing animation. 30%.
Whoa.
30%. I just finished
That means you can do more jobs.
You can do more jobs.
Make more money.
Make more money, and then even attend to, deliver on the job for the client to see on time. I just finished a project, and on that project, we use what we call Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine, I remember way back, if I want to render a 4 second, it can take me days. I'm not saying hours.
Wow.
4 seconds can take me days.
4 seconds?
4 seconds. It can take me days. Because of the time for rendering, and then due to our own situation in Nigeria, power failure and all of that. But these days, with Unreal Engine, all I need is to assemble my asset. Like as this studio is, I can assemble this studio in Unreal Engine as a virtual set with nothing inside. And within few minutes, that set is ready for whatever you want to use it for. So that's how far we have gone. That's how far even the AI itself has really helped, to reduce the time we spend in production.
Well, to show you the caliber of person we have in our studio that we're talking to right now, he's worked on Big Brother Nigeria, the very first edition. That means they were the originator. Forget animator. Originator. Before all the other Big Brothers came along. Yellow Music Show. And he was co-producer of the 3D animation for the 5 LNG mini plants launched by NMPC Trading. Take a bow.
It is no. There's one we need to add, and you're going to tell us the story behind it. Channels Television's Fund It Forward. What's the story behind that animation?
That's a big one. I've been friends with the MD of Lighthouse for over 20 years. We've been on different projects, and when this idea came up, he contacted me and said, "Please, Chris, I need a logo. I need a design, because I've worked in broadcasting, design for years, and because of that, so he trusts, anything I'll bring up." So I put up my cap and then, sat down, brought out the logo. And as I submitted the logo, in fact, he sent me some of the comments made, by some of the people he showed it, and I said, we only trust this Baba. So it started from there, designing the logo, look at the look and feel of that show. Coming from Channel, I know that Channels is blue in terms of their colors.
Primary colors.
Blue. So I look at that very well. And I said, if you are building a brand around since it's their initiative, if we are building a brand around this, we need to make sure that whatever be it that has been making Channel strong has to be, input into that. And that's exactly what we did. So we've done 2 seasons, and it's been very, very sorry, sir, and for being a content by horse, when I'm saying,
Go ahead.
When I say by horse, it's something I applaud them.
And you've told us how they contacted you.
Yeah.
What is the story of the movement from one place to another of that piece of animation? That's what I want to know.
Okay, it's...
Because, there's something that many people don't know. Oh, I like that logo. Oh, I like that animal. I don't like that one. It's not... There is always a story, right?
Yes.
It is that story that many people don't understand. Oh, you just see a design. I don't like that design. There is something... I need you to help people understand so that they can appreciate.
The artist was thinking of.
Exactly. For instance, this is a logo.
Yes.
The logo of, this U.S. Consul's, office and all. So every logo always has a story. That's the reason, and that's what I'm asking. What is the story of that funded forward thing? I'm hoping that my producer will put it on the screen so that people can identify with the story you're telling.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a good question. Yeah. The story behind it is I would say it's similar to every good, shows that you see, that you have come across. The thing is, fund it forward itself, by the word itself, you say fund it forward. We try to look at that, what is forward? There's an icon, which is the play button.
Okay.
If you notice, there's a hand that press. So, and when I was told about it, I just sat down and every one of us, we think differently. But somehow I was able to look at it and I said, the thing that will sell whatever we have here, it is that button, that play button. That's why even when we are putting the fund it, the play, you see the it inside the play. And because it's a technology-driven show itself, we try as much as, I try to look at it that I look at it as an IT.
Okay.
So it helped me to design that logo, and then, it became what everybody...
So the next time you see the Fund It Forward logo, it's just not just a design that someone came up with. It is actually, it has a story behind it. So it's that story that I'd like you to also help many, many people to understand. When people just say, I need a logo, or I need an animation, or I want to animate something. And most of the time, it's just the final design that people see. They don't, and they'll just say, I like it, or I don't like it. I also noticed that in that piece, because we played quite a long process promo now, the predominant color in the more than 1 minute video that we just saw on the screen now, look, okay, so this is the logo of Fund It Forward. So that's all of the things that you were saying.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the predominant color in that promo, even on this set that we're looking at, the Fund It Forward that we're looking at, is blue.
Yeah.
And deliberately so, right?
Yes. Yes.
So some people will not say it's too blue.
It's deliberate, actually. It's deliberate because if you look at television itself is blue. That's what a lot of people don't know. TV, when you talk about television, is blue. So if you are designing anything, even when it comes to animation, you must have a bit of that, and then maybe a bit of, yellow that's earth color, things that can be flashy. For a business show, we don't want to go too much with all the bright colors. So we want to be specific because this is corporate, this is business.
Yes.
It's not like entertainment show where you have all sorts or any kind of drama like that. That's why you see even on the set, that tone is maintained. Okay.
Now, instance, hypothetically speaking, my favorite color is wine. The identity of the product that I want to sell is anything but wine.
Yeah.
Now, because I am the one that is paying for it,
Yes.
I want my favorite color. Leroy is laughing. I want my favorite color to
There
be in
somewhere.
it. Yet, if you put my favorite color in it, it would diminish the value of the
picture.
of the representation of what I want to sell.
Yeah.
Educate me.
Okay. Number one, as if you employ me to do that for you, I will first respect your brand. I don't need to argue with you. This is what your color is, the color of your brand, and that is how you want it to appear.
It's not the color of my brand, though. It's my favorite color. I just like the color.
Well, I will adapt it. I will not tell you it's no. I will not say no. I will adapt it. But I will show you what we can blend that color with to really bring it up, to at least to show it well. So it is not a point, it's not a point of, as an animator or as a graphic person, to say, no, this must be the, no. I still have to listen to you. Then marry your color with what will make it beautiful.
I am going to make it worse for you now.
All right.
You just said now that the color of TV is blue.
Yes.
Now, the color of business, quote and unquote, is also blue.
Yeah.
Abi?
Yes.
The color of Channels Television, as you said, is blue.
Yes.
But I am the owner of Channels Television. I hate blue. That's the example. So yeah, blend.
Well, it is. Everything has solutions. Everything, no matter what it is, we will find solution somewhere. And that is why in this business, you can't fight your client that says, this is my taste. This is what I like. This is what I want. All you need to do as a creative person is to create
a middle road.
You understand, and make it work.
Yeah.
And see, I have done things with some MDs, CEO, and when I get there, all I tell them is, sir, today, I hope you don't mind. I will disrespect you a little. Just give me the audience. It's just to make you look good. It is how I approach. My approach really matters in all of these things. I'm not coming as, I am the expert. I know this thing. Whatever I say must be the... No. You have to listen to your client. So I will listen. And I will look for, that middle road, where we can.
Christopher, this all sounds very exciting. And I'm sure there's some young people out there now who are watching you and wanting to be you.
Even
later.
My daughter is 16. She says she wants to be an animator.
Wow.
And I'm very sure she has no idea what that means.
So please, what does a young person need to become, first of all, a graphic artist, and then to grow from there to these other things which you are now doing? And obviously, the way you're talking about them, it's obvious that you get the utmost satisfaction from doing what you're doing, that you enjoy it so much. Please tell them, look at them and tell them what they need to do. I know that dedication will be among the things.
Discipline.
Well, it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of time-consuming learning process. I will just briefly say something about when I started. I started way back when there was a software called Corridor, and it was 1.2.
It not was, it still exists.
It still exists. No, I want
Corridor is still used.
Okay.
What are you talking? It's now a 17 or 18 version.
It was 1.0. 1.0 was their first release.
Yes, of course.
And it fascinated some of us that, look, I want to just draw. I want to do this. I want to do that.
I want to color.
I want to color. I want to create stuff. I practiced on this software for years. And from there, I was able to cross over to TV. When I got to TV, the next
That's
thing...
not where you started. What did you study first?
First, okay.
You did arts at school set level or something like that?
No.
See?
In fact, what I did was computer science.
Look at that. There we go.
Computer science. And the truth is, artistically, I am good, in drawing. Even my daughter right now, she's a fantastic artist. She can draw, she can paint. And we, way back then, having all of that really helped me to learn faster. But there's something I want to tell our audience. It is called, you have to be impatient patient. This job is not a job you think you just do now and then, or no, you can't know it immediately. You have to go through a lot of
practice.
In fact, I was married to the job. It was my wife I told the first time. I said, I love you above my work, above my job. Because it was really, it's time consuming. I can't go out. I can't have friends. I'm thinking every day. I encounter the problem and I want to solve that problem. So I go and I come back, sit down, I will look, and then there was no school. But now there are, we have schools, here and there. I have a couple of my, friends who we work together. Some of them work with me on several projects. Some of them right now, they have schools, and one of the things I just want to see is where government themselves can actually come into this system.
It sounds like you are saying it can be used for some development, national development.
In fact, educational development, it is really, really huge. That's why you see, a country like America, they are the biggest in this. South Africa, here, have the biggest industry in animation.
Wow. We,
Nigeria, we're just like, but they respect our creativity. They respect the way we flow with ideas and all of that. But yet, we have some small schools here. I wish,
okay.
Have it.
There is
Lion King.
Yeah, I'm coming there. Mr. Fashikwebi.
Yes, sir.
You people celebrate Iron Man, Superman, Incredible Hulk, etc., etc. I still don't know how Iron Man can fly because I know he cannot fly. He's iron. Cannot fly. Then, as she mentioned, there's Lion King and all of that. But you people have not created animation for Shanku, for Ogun, and all of those other things. What do you call superheroes? Yeah. Do you see?
They're working on them.
Well, let him tell us.
Because I saw a documentary not long ago, and somebody was making this same complaint.
It must be one of them. Why is it taking you people so long?
Well, let me just open up on this, because a lot of the time, we want to do certain things, and the capacity to do it is not yet there.
The cashola
is a big budget. And if we want to, for instance, I've seen some things produced in Nigeria, and I say, well, we are trying, but it cannot go further than this. The only way it can go further is when we have great investment in this sort of thing. And that's why you will hear, okay, let me just say this. For instance, the global market value for animation is about, as of 2023, is about $391 billion. That is globally.
Yeah, say it again.
I'm telling you, $391 billion. It's there. And in Africa, and in Nigeria, we don't have data.
To draw something like this.
It is.
And make it talk.
In fact, 3D, according to what they say, this 2025, it will double, in the market value, it will double to about $40 billion. Just 3D alone.
Wow.
There is something that people don't even look at very well. It's called, we call it explainer video.
Yes.
Explainer video is the second, in fact, it's the next to 3D.
Yes.
And explainer video, who are the people using it? Companies, businesses. They are the ones using it. But I tell you, the kind of budget that is on that alone is huge. Now, when we are talking about producing something in Nigeria, one of the things I see is that one person is the animator, one person is the model, the one that will model the character, one person is the same person that will do the lighting, the same person. Oh, that's too much. So we need to start making sure that the person who will do the modeling is different. The one that will do the animation is different. All of them having and on a team, in a movie, like some of those ones you mentioned, you'll be hearing 400, people on set.
Each has to be paid.
And they are paid very well. They are paid very well.
How huge is the animation on Endgame, Avengers Endgame?
It is huge. In fact, you know, like I mentioned, the Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine has helped a lot in some of these sci-fi, I mean, any of these CGI movies, you know, because it makes the job easier. For instance, you know, instead of going to the jungle to go and record in the jungle, they've removed all that risk. As small as these places, they can shoot a jungle. Just look at Avatar. Avatar is all a studio base. None of them go to the water and do all of those things. But everything shot in a studio. So it is huge investment. So we need to, you know, Nigeria, the government, the business people need to really see the value. There's money to be made from this. And
Jaws. We hear that Jaws was shot in a studio as well.
Yes.
And that the fish is somebody's imagination.
Exactly.
That whale.
Exactly.
And the shark.
Yes. So those are the things. And we don't need to, in fact, a lot of the time, you know, we spend so much money, so much time, you know, going out. Meanwhile, right there in the studio
you can do everything.
Everything can be done.
Okay. You just need the money.
The money. It's the money. It's the money.
Okay.
It's
the money and the expertise. We need people who can.
Okay, the expertise is coming along nicely.
Yeah, nicely, very well.
What about the funding? Are you getting any support from banks, for instance?
I would say it is something that we're still working on. And I believe that maybe one day soon we have that. I think, you know, one of my young animator, he's not young anymore because he's big now, and then he's working on a movie. I can tell you what is going through.
But you all need to sell this to them. A bank wants money. If they see that they're going to make money at the end of the day, they'll throw money at you. So what are you all doing?
we have our own fault. I will be honest. We have our own fault. And I say it I would say it, for instance, look at the guy who will tell you that, oh, I'm an animator. Ask him the software he's using. Has he paid? So it is affecting our own structure. So a lot of the time, you have a software that you are using, you have not even paid a dime on it. If you are to go and cost for a job, you will mess up. You will just go there.
So it's supposed to be subscription-based.
Subscription-based. When you paid, when you are charging your client, you know why you are charging the client.
Yeah.
Pay so and so amount. But if they are not paying, if you don't pay to use that software, it is easier for the client to tell you, okay, a job of 1 million. It's 100K. I want to pay for this.
Okay. So I can't ask you what to expect from you because we are seeing your work without even knowing that we are seeing your work.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Christopher Fashikwebi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. We had a very exciting time. We've had a very exciting time with you this morning. And we hope that you have encouraged some young person out there who's been wondering how they're going to go about becoming a Christopher Fashikwebi. Thank you very much for coming, talking to us and talking to those at home as well.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
So that is Sunrise. I'm sure we're going to have to bring you back again. I'm sure of that sometime because it's not often we have graphic artists and
back-end people.
Ben is always the front end that we bring. And the back end is also quite interesting from what we have seen this morning.
Yeah.
So that's Sunrise for us and for you on this first day of February 2025. Imagine how many seconds ago we were saying Happy New Year to each other, and now a whole month is gone. Today is the 1st of February. We hope to bring you a fresh edition next week, he being our strength. Until then, keep fresh, keep believing, and keep working. I am Alera Edu.
Please don't put yourself under any pressure this year. You don't need it. In fact, by December, you just tell them, wait a minute, how did I do all that? That's what's going to happen. Amaya Makinde, have a beautiful rest of your day and beautiful weekend.
Bye.